To me, it is glaringly obvious why Hedera HBAR, Mina protocol, and Nia protocol are all set to explode very, very shortly. So I want to make a video today explaining the reasons why. And I think it's important that you understand that this knowledge and what I'm going to show you is able to be applied to your altcoins as well. There's no point in me showing you the ins and outs of this without you being able to go ahead and replicate it, okay? So before we get into it, all I ask for, drop a like on the video and let's start. So I'm going to introduce this chart here. Now this is Cardano ADA, but before we get into the reasons why, I just want to point out something very important that a lot of you may have already forgotten, which is we are going to see exponential gains that can happen on a drop of a hat. And why this is important to know is because if you are someone who applies what I'm going to teach you today, but doesn't spend the time, 10, 15 minutes maybe per project that you have in your portfolio per day, especially within 2025, to research, well, I'm sorry, but you're probably going to miss some of these pumps. I mean, have a look here. This was Cardano, guys, and we're talking about a project that was at this point like at 3 billion market cap. So it's the likes of XLM right now, Stellar, right? And look at this. It pumped literally almost 3x in 9 days over here. And these candles, by the way, are a single day. So over here, 20% in a single day, 14% in a single day, 21% in a single day. Over here, 25%. And over here, as you can see, literally in the thick of the bull run, when the market cap would have been at, well, God knows, probably in the 20s, 30s, billions of dollars, it pumped a 2x. Yes, 100% is a 2x, not 1x. It pumped a 2x in just under 2 weeks. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is this right here was moving a project that was already in the tens of billions of dollars, likely a plus 20, 30 billion, right? 2x. Over here, it pumped probably a 3 billion market cap, 3x in 9 days. And as you can see here, 20%, 10% off on the regular every single day of the bull run. So if you've got 20, 30 altcoins in your portfolio and you can't spend the time to look into them each day, you're going to miss some of these pumps and not take advantage. Now, these pumps are specifically something triggered by an event that I want to tell you about today, right? And that's something that's coming up for, again, HBAR, Mina, and Nia in the very near future here. And it's essentially what we've pulled out on this chart of Cardano mixed with Bitcoin in the background, called popularity, or essentially a trigger in which there's a certain event that triggers the mass market, people that aren't even looking at the project, to then want to buy the project. Now, typically we see the biggest pump, Cardano in blue, as you can see here, caused by what I call the narrative, or essentially all, whatever that project's known for, pumping at the same time. All meme coins pumping, all oracles pumping, all layer ones pumping, like in this case. But as you can see, we do have random spikes that happen well before these. And if you're acute and if you know what you're looking for here and these come, you can then, of course, sell, reinvest, sell. So you're making more money. Okay, so again, this is a type of trigger. But what is popularity? What is a popularity thing? Well, popularity can be simply defined by how well known an altcoin can become, right? Now, what I've put here is, again, it's another trigger, like a narrative in this case. And it's, again, caused by a spike, a very sharp spike, which is always a great way to make money. There's three things essentially popularity stands for or means. One is a roadmap event, right? Second is an announcement, and the third is some sort of marketing campaign that's really successful. So we're going to focus, and the primary focus of this video is going to be on roadmap events, because this is something we can completely see. It's like looking through a damn crystal ball. We can see it coming, and it's all laid out for us. We just have to buy now to prepare for a future pump. And each three of these altcoins have extremely bullish roadmap events coming up that will draw in, and keyword here, the mass market. It's no good us finding roadmap events that the evangelists or people like you and I that might love a project look for and love, because while it will spike for sure, it's not going to draw in the mass market, which is going to provide the billions of dollars worth of investment in a very short period of time. So again, announcements and marketing is something we can look at in this case, but I more so cover that in my courses. I'll leave the link down below. You guys can get that if you need to. We're going to focus on roadmap events today. So checking the roadmap of an altcoin, we must find events that are a substantial bit of news to the mass market, not just who like the project. This is where a little bit of crypto knowledge can definitely come into play. So we'll look at Mina protocol first. Now, this is Mina's roadmap. And here's, again, the little bit of a tricky thing we have to understand when it comes to looking at a project's roadmap. Again, it's the part of differentiating whether something is going to be a mass market drawing instance or whether it's going to be a, oh, that's kind of cool, that's going to be really good for the network, but not much buzz. And there is certain circumstances where, unfortunately, the market sentiment itself, whatever the whole entire market's doing, if it's bearish, and good news comes out, that will be delayed. And I want to say before we dive into Mina's roadmap is oftentimes projects will pump well and truly before a specific bit of news will actually be released. So if we buy now, we aren't taking the risk of buying in like 6 months from now, right before the news happens, because chances are by that time, it could be already priced into the project. So Mina, right? This is the hard part, right? Mina has a very thorough roadmap, which I love, and we can see what's happening now and what's happening in the future. We can also see what a critical milestone is, or at least what they classify as a critical milestone for the altcoin. But again, for us, we're looking at it a bit differently than this. So in my opinion, I'm going to point out some of the more interesting roadmap events that are going to come up here and just tell you why, okay? So we have the modular blockchain off-chain storage, which is quite important because cryptocurrencies have a very hard time trying to contain storage. It is a very difficult thing because otherwise the network will become bloated, and it's many issues come up there, like decentralization, right? So, Mina being Mina, it's looking to storage off-chain essentially, right? But do it in a modular way. That's quite impressive. That's quite important, right? But in my opinion, is the average Joe going to know about that? Is the average DGen going to go, oh, or more importantly, is the average, YouTube influencer going to be able to tell their audience about that? And most of them no, because they don't know what they're talking about, fundamentally speaking. So they're not going to pick up on this. So no, that would most definitely pass. The ZK apps on mainnet, this will be huge. And as you can see, they're almost finished it. So this will be very, very big and should be a mass market, based events that should bring everyone else in. We also have over here a few other really interesting ones that I like, but again, they're not specifically ones that will draw in the most amount of people. Now, what will bring the most amount of people in is these two things here. Instant finality, I think we all know what that really means, right? And infinite horizontal scaling, which means infinite scalability. So those two things right there are very, very big. And of course, when these things come up and are, hey, we're announcing that we've done this, it's going to bring in people. Now, the fact that these things are going to be very difficult to actually do will take a long time. Therefore, I think it might actually come out in about 2025. So this might be particularly good timing, and Mina has a track history of timing things very well. Just keep in mind, cryptocurrencies are businesses, kind of like I mentioned over here for the announcements. They tend to hold announcements and roadmap events specifically for a very bullish time in the market. I mean, hell, why do you think most altcoins are starting to launch now? It's not too late and it's not too soon. They're timing it just right to maximize exposure for the bull run. So those are the pretty much three things that I would really stand out. I probably would say cross-chain custody or cross-chain state proofs are quite important as well. Again, these are very bullish things for the Mina community, but in terms of what would draw in most people, I would say no. And so here's another one. We'll touch on Near Protocol here for a second, because this is one you guys know because I've been preaching this for the longest time. It's very simple because it's one massive upgrade. Again, I've been preaching for the longest time. And that's fundamentally what makes Near Protocol Near Protocol. What separates Near from any other layer 1 blockchain is their upgrade to scalability, their scalability approach, essentially called Nightshade. And Nightshade has been phased out in 3 stages. Phase 2, they're still working on right now. As you can see, this is going to go right up to Q2 of 2024. Might even be pushed back a bit. But Phase 3, the dynamic resharding, which is the really important part, which means that nodes and the applications on nodes can be reshuffled dynamically whenever they need to be, right? To best utilize network resources. And this will be completed, look at this, apparently around Q4 of 2024. Now, knowing Neo, knowing how difficult this might be, this is probably going to be pushed back at least possibly another quarter, I believe. But even if it happens in Q4 of 2024, this is big. Given, of course, the fact that the market has mass sentiment, positive sentiment, then we're going to be in a really good position, I believe, with Near Protocol. So that would be what I look out for. Also, Phase 2 of sharding will be quite important as well. But the main reason why I don't really put emphasis on that is A, Nightshade isn't complete yet, and B is because it's going to fall in about Q4 or Q2 next year, so mid next year, 6 to 12 months away. So I just don't know whether the market's going to be in the same place. But nevertheless, if we find that spike happen, right? If the spike over here happens and you hit your sell levels, I mean, hell, if that happens well before the bull run, you might want to take profit and then reinvest once it retraces before its second to last main pump. All right, and I'm going to throw this a bit of alpha in here now. Typically speaking, as you see with ADA, the biggest pumps typically come with the narrative, with the layer 1 narrative, the Oracle narrative, the meme narrative. These all happen Popularity pumps typically happen obscurely to the market, randomly, based on that project, and is a good way for us to make some profit. Now, Hedera HBAR, okay, so, Mina's absolutely got a bunch of amazing stuff happening to it. Near Protocol has one huge announcement. Again, it's fundamentally what makes that project unique. And Hedera has something that I believe is a big unlock, because it's essentially what's stopping the network from really attracting most people, which is decentralization. So again, it's unique to different projects. A lot of people have criticized Hedera because it's centralized governance, okay? But they don't understand a lot about crypto, blockchain tech. They just seem to follow the leader in saying that, right? Because again, we're trying to have a look at through a business lens, but also we have to cater towards those people, the degens. We have to make sure we're buying the altcoins that they want to buy, not what actually logistically, or logically rather, makes sense. So in this case, we can see here, part of what they're doing soon, which is a part of their prioritized development, is to enable the community node. So continue on Hedera's path to full decentralization, which they will be fully decentralized in the future, by introducing a sort of permissioned community-run mainnet node. So I believe, from what I've heard so far and read, is that this will only happen once we have the full 39 governing council members on board. I could be wrong. At least I possibly might be misconstruing this with the fact that to have it a completely permissionless network, that will have to happen. Either way, I think that once this happens, it's going to be quite bullish, and once they fully become permissionless, whether that happens in 2025 or not, that's going to be quite big. If it happens in 2025, a lot's going to happen between now and then. But what we also have down here is something that I am probably even more bullish on, okay? And that's this, modularization, okay? So modularize Hedera services to enable easier development, troubleshooting, deployment, and enhancements. That last part right there, enhancements, is the big thing. Now, what happens with cryptocurrency when you modularize it? What happens is you're breaking apart a very central, or what we call monolithic chain, a network like this, that runs things in one direction. There's one thing that runs in one direction. Well, when you modularize, you essentially break apart the network so things happen by themselves independently that can happen much faster. And that last word, enhancements, is interesting because Lehman Bard, the actual founder and creator of the hash graph, again, the consensus, what makes Hedera, this guy said some really bullish things about what they're introducing soon. I want you guys to listen. This was actually from my video I made 9 months ago. So yeah, listen up.
And so when we do sharding, we'll break things up to make sure that every shard is balanced. Before we have sharding, we at least want our whole network to be pretty balanced. We don't want one whale to be able to destroy the whole network.
Right. So indeed, that's some pretty big stuff, right? So essentially what Lehman's saying there is they're going to be introducing sharding, okay? Not that kind of sharding you're probably thinking of. Again, where they basically break the network, the hash graph is able to be run together, many instances, which means the max theoretical TPS of HBAR is like what, 10,000, 100,000? You can multiply that by whatever. This is fundamentally the upgrade that Near Protocol is doing over here with their sharding approach, right? Their dynamic resharding, which is their unique mechanism. And so, of course, when this happens for HBAR, I mean, the growth on that's going to be exponential, and I would say most definitely would explode. Now, when I say these projects are going to explode soon, you have to understand, soon could happen anytime. Soon could be in the next 6 months. Soon could be in the next 3 months. We don't know. Either way, we do know what's going to happen within the next 2 years, okay? The next 24 months. So you've got to be prepared. And again, buy well and truly before these things happen. Forget about buying the rumor, sell the news. You don't have to buy the rumor. You got to buy the damn roadmap event, right? So you got to forecast this. So with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Remember, pay attention. These things go up and down just as fast. So you don't want to be overexposed or underexposed to too many altcoins in this case. And with that said, thank you all. If you've made it this far, drop a like on the video. It helps me out a lot. And I look forward to talking to you all soon. Take care.